These brake caliper bolts are a 14 millimeter. I'm going to use a cotter pin puller. You can use pliers or cutters or whatever you got. This thing works pretty good. I'm just going to hook that cotter pin with this hook here. They come out pretty easy. This is a 6-point 30 millimeter. The front is a 12 point, so you're going to need one of those sockets. All right, now because the knuckle is securely attached to the vehicle right now, it's a good time to use the slide hammer before you start taking stuff apart, because this hub has to come out of the bearing. Okay, there we go. So you can see the wheel seal came off with the hub. I'm gonna have to pull that off. I've got 2 replacement seals, an inner and an outer. Let's show you what the bearing looks like. It's a pretty good workout. This is a non-sealed bearing. A lot of bearings in cars that are press-in are sealed, but we have to put a new seal in there. See all that dirt? I think that's what caused the failure there. I can just get in here with the swivel, but it is touching this boot, so I'll try to stay away from it. That came off super easy. All right, let's go ahead and get this knuckle out of the strut. There we go. I wonder if we even have to go the whole way. Let me see if I can get that axle out. Yep, it just made it. Hold this axle up and out of the way with a bungee here. I don't want it getting all boogered up. All right, let's look real close in here. Holding that bearing in is that snap ring, but it doesn't have holes or little ears to grab with snap ring pliers. I'm going to try to use my snap ring pliers anyway, just to see if they work. If they do work, that'll be kind of sweet. So I don't want to mess this thing up. I didn't buy another snap ring. It is working. And you got to be careful with that. Whoa, baby. Check that out. So you can hook it with snap ring pliers, just doesn't have holes, so be careful that this thing doesn't go flying across the shop. Okay, now we're on the inside. This is the seal on the inside of the knuckle that has to come out. Here's the bearing, and this is that seal. Let's see if we can pull it with a just regular seal puller. Before I do that, let me go ahead and put a bolt back in the strut here so I'm not yanking this thing down. All right, that's gonna hold it a little bit better. Sometimes these will actually come out with the axle. Not the case with this one. Wow. That was in there. All right, I just used my pick and I pulled out these bearings. Let's go over to the car. I'll show you what that looks like and how we're gonna do this. And here is all that's left inside there. It's just the outer bearing race. Now check out, the outer bearing race is flush with this knuckle. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna push against this raised part in the middle, and you'll see what that looks like. We're just gonna push this race out. Okay, here's the hub tamer kit made by OTC. She's seen a lot of action. So these are all the adapters that are used to push the bearing out and receive the bearing into this cup. And we've got a big forcing screw here. It's gonna do all the work. I didn't give you my ratings for this job at the beginning of the video, so let me do that now. I'm giving it a 3 for skill level because anyone with nuts and bolts knowledge and repair experience, just a little bit, should be fine doing this job. But as far as tools go, I'm giving that a 6, and that's because the tools you'll need are pretty expensive. You saw the hub tamer over there. That's a pretty expensive little beast. Now it's going to be on my Amazon store. You can shop and compare. Some of them are a lot cheaper than that one. This is just the one that I have. You can do it with that on the car, or you can use a shop press to get that bearing out of the knuckle on the press. All right, here we go. Well, you can hear my air compressor's working overtime. It's only a 30-gallon compressor, so this puts a lot of effort on there. Let me finish this up now. Okay, so this is the outer race. This is what we pushed out of there just now. All right, so on the inside of this knuckle here, see that flange going all the way around? That's what the back of the bearing stops against. But the inner diameter of that flange is the same diameter as the bearing, so that's why we had to take it apart. All right. Man, I had the door closed here, pulling the seal off. This is that front seal. Had the door closed because it started hailing like crazy here. Yesterday we had 3 tornadoes, super crazy. So if you hear a bunch of loud noise, it's probably hail. And if this video doesn't post, it was probably a tornado. Okay, this is a bearing separator, and it's designed to go right there behind that bearing and lock it in so we can pull it out. And this is a press adapter. It just goes right in there, and then we can have something to push against. So here's the setup. We've got the hub and a bearing splitter behind the bearing race and a 2-jaw puller to pull everything up out of here. This is the bearing I'm using. Part number for you. I'm just going to cover it so it doesn't go springing in my face here. All right. Now I'm going to just push it back into that groove until it snaps. There you go. You heard that snap? That means you know it's locked in there and this bearing's not going to come out. And you're going to like this. This is an oil filter wrench. And the rubber from that seal goes inside of the wrench, and it can push right up against the metal of the seal. All right, I've got the hub all cleaned up. We're gonna go ahead and install that. We're on the inside now, and that seal is in there, but I don't have room for a seal driver. I'm just going to use this pin punch and try to just go very carefully around the edge here. All right, let's go ahead and pull this bolt back out of the knuckle here. We can get our axle back in. Go ahead and put our axle in. There we go. Use this bar to line up those holes here. Make sure your plug lines up with the adjustment hole back there on the hub. Get our axle nut back on there. All right, you want to torque this to 159 foot-pounds. All right, we got the axle hole right there, so you need to put the castle nut on there to where the hole on both sides is exposed. Just keep spinning it till you find one. That looks good to me right there. And bend it to factory specs. I know everyone's got a different way of bending them. I just bend them whichever way is most convenient for me. All right, that's pretty much it. We're just gonna mount the tire and then we'll go for a test drive to make sure everything is making no noise and it's good to go. If you wanna see the rest of the things that I've done to this Highlander, you can click right over here. That's the Highlander playlist. I've done a lot of repairs to this car. I'll see you there.